Today, we're looking at something unexpected. After several weeks out of the public eye, and after skipping her scheduled appearance in Congress, Hillary Clinton has suddenly resurfaced. But what caught people's attention wasn't just that she finally showed up. It was what she said when she did. Before I get into why the timing matters, let's take a quick look at the moment everyone's going to be talking about.
You know what this reminds me of is I wish that there could be like a huge national sound system. And we would all wake up and they'd say, attention, attention, we have found the problem and we have solved it. He is gone. But the reason we're here tonight is to remind all of us, including ourselves, that that can't happen unless we make it happen. And so when you ask what we're doing, one of the things very clearly, Latino Victory, Onward Together, we are, thanks to your support, we are able to provide funding to candidates on behalf of causes, to try to elect people that are going to stand against this, tide of intolerance and cruelty and all that goes with it.
Hillary said, I wish there could be a huge national sound system. And we'd all wake up and they'd say, attention, attention, we found the problem and we solved it. Trump is gone. All right. That is definitely a strong statement, especially considering how quiet that she's been lately. And naturally, this is going to raise a few questions because Hillary Clinton hasn't been making any public appearances. She didn't show up for her own congressional testimony. She hasn't responded to new questions surrounding the Epstein transparency push. She hasn't taken interviews or press questions. And no news media has asked any of them either. She's just been gone. So when someone disappears for weeks and then reappears with a comment like this, people notice. Now, to be clear, Hillary Clinton is allowed to speak her mind. But what stands out here is the timing. She avoided Congress. She avoided the cameras. She avoided questions. She avoided the media. And then in her first public reappearance, it's a joke about wishing the country could broadcast that a political opponent is, quote, gone. No policy message, no clarification about Congress, no follow-up on the investigations. Just a very loud, very pointed joke. And it makes you wonder, why now? Why this message? Why after weeks of silence? Here's a pattern we've seen for years across both parties. When political figures are under pressure, they often step back, disappear for a while, and then come back with a message designed to redirect attention. Sometimes it's intentional, sometimes it's strategic, sometimes it's simply just timing. But in this case, with congressional questions still hanging in the air and a renewed interest around the Epstein files and her husband, Bill, that allegedly made many trips, it's understandable why people are connecting the dots. To be fair, politicians across the spectrum make political jokes about their opponents. That's nothing new. But most people didn't expect this to be the first thing Hillary would say after skipping her testimony and staying out of the spotlight for nearly 2 months. And that's why this moment's getting attention. It's not just the joke. It's the absence before the joke. It's the silence, followed by a strong statement with no explanation in between. I think the real story here is the gap, because Americans, regardless of party, want to know, why did she avoid Congress? Why was she absent during the height of the Epstein questions? Why pop up now? And why come back with this type of message, which could be read as inflammatory? These aren't partisan questions. They're basic accountability questions. And any public official should be expected to answer them. But the question is, how do you interpret this timing? Do you think she was simply laying low? She didn't want to testify? Her team advised her to stay quiet? Or is she signaling something politically? Is she planning to run again? Let me know how you see it, because the timing here is hard to ignore. Now, Hillary Clinton isn't the only political figure making headlines this week. Several lawmakers had unexpected reactions after the Epstein transparency vote. And we saw a surprising meeting in the Oval Office that caught even the media off guard.
Okay. Mr. President, I wanted to know one of the policies as well that Mayor-elect Mamdani talked a number of times about on the campaign was shifting the tax burden for property taxes from what he called minority communities to white-based communities and putting more taxes on white people. I also noticed that in your acceptance speech you didn't mention anything about America or Christians or white people in general, and so I didn't know if that was one of the policies that you guys had spoken about.
We focused on affordability. We focused on the cost of living crisis. What I will say is that I am very much interested in property tax reform because what we see right now in New York City is a system that is so inequitable that it can't even stand up in court. And the president and I spoke about the importance of not only building more housing, but also making sure that regulation of housing is something that is manageable to actually get through and not the cause of yet another weight that we see.
But to be clear, you're continuing this idea of race-based property taxes.
No, to be very clear,
that's what you said.
No, the use of the term was a description of neighborhoods, not a description of intent.
So you intend to tax the whiter neighborhoods more?
No, we intend to create a fair property tax system because we want a New York City that is not only fair and equitable, but also one that every New Yorker can afford.
Policy proposal that says your plan, and I'm going to quote it for folks, is to shift the tax burden from overtaxed homeowners in the outer boroughs to more expensive homes in richer and whiter neighborhoods. Explain why you are bringing race into your tax proposal.
That is just a description of what we see right now. It's not driven by race. It's more of an assessment of what neighborhoods are being undertaxed versus overtaxed.
So no plans to change that language on your website.
The focus here is to actually ensure a fair property tax system, and that the use of that language is just an assessment of the neighborhood.
Over the last couple of days, we've had monumental changes across America. The prospective mayor of New York City, Zohran Mamdani, met with Donald Trump in the Oval Office. I think Donald brought him to the spotlight to show all of America what he's really about. And then in the other tragic and somewhat chaotic turn of events was Marjorie Taylor Greene announcing her resignation from Congress effective January the 6th.
Are you willing to forgive Congresswoman Taylor Greene? Forgive for what? No, I just disagreed with her philosophy. She started backing perhaps the worst Republican congressman in our history, stupid person named Massey. And I said, go your own way. And once I left her, she resigned because she would never have survived a primary. But I think she's a nice person.
These are two big changes happening across the landscape of politics. And then you sprinkle in Hillary just suddenly coming out of nowhere and calling for the removal of Donald Trump. Leave a comment down below. What do you think is actually going on? If you missed these updates, go check out a previous video I dropped covering this subject. And if you really want to be part of the movement, hit that join button, become a channel member, jump into the private Discord. That's where you can talk with me directly. Share your ideas, concerns, what you're seeing on the ground. I listen to you guys. Also, a huge thanks to my sponsors. And we're in this together. Stay sharp, stay strong, and as always, stay alert. I'll see you in the next one.